Happy Friday, welcome to the 3 Things I Learned, Saas Sports Tech and Live Events, a little bit back to normal edition with the Saastr conference and the Sports Business Journal Ticketing Symposium this week. What did we learn? Getting back to the real world. Number 1, TicketNetwork has hired a banker and they're going to market. Back in 2007, there was a round of people buying ticket marketplaces when eBay bought StubHub and then Ticketmaster bought tickets. Now it left RazorGator and TicketNetwork still out there for sale and to be purchased. RazorGator eventually ended up going under in 2010, but Don and TicketNetwork have grown a nice business. Now what's interesting about this is we're going to learn a lot about how people are valuing the live events market now that we have Vivid Seats with the SPAC and we have TicketNetwork out there and a few others going to market. Now TicketNetwork's interesting in particular because how are they going to sell? Are they going to be predicated on a revenue multiplier? Are they going to be predicated on the GMV that they're selling or on the data that they have that might be interesting for gambling? Or are they going to be valued on the relationships they have? All in all, it's going to be another good comp for everybody in our space. So that's number 1. Number 2 this week, there's softness in the market and some rough waters ahead. Most people don't want to admit it, but a lot of people who are in the know in the sports and live event industry, they see this and they know what's coming. What does that mean? It means that there's this glut of supply entering the marketplace. And that glut of supply makes its way into a lot of pricing models. There's consolidators that do the pricing. There are teams that do the pricing and there are leagues who evaluate this. And we talked to all 3 over the week. And what we're seeing are some troubling concerns. You know, COVID, we've been saying what Scott Galloway once said, that COVID is a great accelerator. That if your business was going well before that, it's generally going to do even better. But if your business was starting to hurt, it's actually going to speed up the process. And we're starting to see those signs of weakness, particularly in college football and in some of the arena sports that are coming up. Don't be surprised if with so much inventory out there that they're having trouble getting yield to meet some of the deals that we've seen on the secondary side and on the primary side. Keep this in mind. We talked to some of the major promoters this week. There's nowhere to put their shows. Everybody's booked for the next year. With that much inventory and a little bit of a soft spot, what we're seeing is that people want to go to the mega events, but the events that were already starting to show some shaky footing before the pandemic are really starting to accelerate downward. Keep an eye on that. There's going to be some opportunity in the secondary market and in ticketing coming up over the next year. That's number 2. And finally, number 3, there's room for the hustlers in the new normal. So this week we saw Jason Lemkin's Saastr conference, which is an absolute must for anybody in SaaS, and the Sports Business Journal's Ticket Symposium. Saastr had about 25%, and that's a feel of the amount of people that they generally had. But there were a lot of founders there, and it was a lot easier to get meetings with the founders as there wasn't a glut of new investors. Now, some of the founders were upset that there weren't more investors there, but the idea of getting a meeting that you wanted was a lot easier to do. And that was the same with the Sports Business Journal conference. Now, there were a lot fewer people. Generally, there's 700 to 800 people at that ticket symposium. I counted about 100, and about 10 of those are from the major sponsor. But if you wanted FaceTime with people in the know in the market, you could get it there. Talking to one of my buddies who's in private equity, he said he's raised 10 times more money in the last 3 weeks on the road than he's raised in the last year and a half at home. And we're seeing the same thing. People want to meet. They may not be in the office, but if you go to them and you meet them at the coffee shop or the local watering hole or at the restaurant, it's actually easier than ever to get FaceTime. So sometimes going against the flow, if you do it safely, it's really going to pay off. That's it for this week on these 3 things. We'll see you all next week.